Hey guys, what is going on? So I finally got a hormone test and I thought the results were, potentially pretty interesting. Now they were kind of in line with what I was expecting. And so, no shocking numbers coming from this. But at the same time, I do feel like this is kind of confirmation, at least given this one data point, that what I've been doing and what I've done in the past to optimize my hormonal profile is working, at least according to this data point. Now, I understand that any hormone test is just going to be one snapshot in time. But again, considering it does kind of align with what I've been experiencing in recent months, I feel like that's, a pretty good indicator. So in terms of why I wanted to get this test, it was mainly just to confirm that what I felt like was going on in terms of my hormones was actually accurate, and that was a good thing. I didn't have anything that I was worried about, or I didn't have anything where I felt like, oh, I should get a test to see if I should get on HRT. It was actually the opposite. I feel really good, and I felt like I wanted a test to kind of see like, hey, if this is where I know I can be, and this is kind of, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a baseline because this is probably a higher level than I've been at in the past. But if this is like potentially the new norm for me, I know that, going forward, I want to compare myself to this hormonal profile, considering I feel really good and I want to continue to feel like this in the future. So that was one motivating factor, was just kind of to confirm that what I was feeling was actually represented in my hormonal profile, as well as there was this very interesting way of stacking a whole bunch of different like coupons and cashback and everything like that. So over this holiday season, not that this is really relevant to fitness information, but I had been really getting into the whole like cashback, credit card sign up bonus, stacking out with Black Friday deals. And I feel like I'm in like extreme couponing, and in this example, I was able to get such a good price on this test that this is why I went for this one in particular. So I am in no way endorsing this specific test, and as far as I know, something like Merrick Health is really the gold standard. That being said, I don't really feel like I am the type of person, given my current situation, to be going, and doing regular blood work or anything like that with Merrick Health. And that was kind of the main thing that I, wanted to say in this video, is this is not necessarily like the route that I would recommend. It was just me simply like kind of checking in and just getting a confirmation that what I was feeling inside my body, was kind of going on. So I obviously don't have any baseline to go off of in terms of like what my hormones would actually be. I always kind of speculated like, oh, I feel like I have, higher testosterone and stuff like that. But I had no way of actually knowing that. And so I was just going off of how I felt, right? So it's really an entry level at home test that I did. But again, I got such a good deal in terms of like, I used Rakuten to get cash back. I had an Amex offer, which gives you, direct money back. I had a sign up bonus with Amex as well. And then I also was getting like a Black Friday deal. So I probably wouldn't be paying full price for a test like this. And I wouldn't recommend that you guys would either. If you really feel like, you wanted to get something like me where you just wanted a confirmation, it's probably not, super worthwhile to do something like that, paying full price. However, if you do feel like maybe you have problems with your hormones, or you wanted to get a baseline to potentially see, hey, what can I do to improve certain markers, or potentially want to get on like HRT or something like that, maybe it actually makes sense to go like full blood work, Merrick Health, do the whole shebang. It might be a worthwhile investment for you to do that. For me, I really don't feel like I'm in that category yet, and that's why I went for this like cheaper at-home option. Okay, so those were kind of my motivating factors. Now, in terms of the actual numbers, the app where I have my numbers, and I've already seen them, it's not functioning right now, which is annoying because I've been waiting to make this video, but I haven't had time. And so now that I do have time, of course, it's kind of malfunctioning, but I'm going to go in and either edit in the description of this video, or, by the time I'm editing this or whatever, maybe it'll start working. And I'll go in and put the actual numbers. But the test that I got was from Everlywell, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend as far as I know. There are better options in terms of like going and getting blood work, and even as far as at-home tests, given the methods that they use. I'm not recommending this company or anything like that. Like I said, a lot of this was motivated by me getting an abnormal amount of cash back. I was like triple dipping with the cash back and everything like that. So again, this is not something that I would be paying full price for doing regularly, just something that I did this one time, and potentially as a baseline. I will probably get something like Let's Get Checked in the future. And I actually was planning on ordering one of those tests, but I missed the window of the Black Friday sale. And so I literally was going to get 50% off, ended up not being able to catch that sale, and then I just didn't get it. So maybe that's something I do in the future with Let's Get Checked, but as of right now, I just use Everlywell. So the numbers or the hormones that they went over were free testosterone, estradiol, cortisol, and I believe DHA. So the cortisol and the DHA, those were normal, so I don't really feel like I even need to go over the numbers on those. But I feel like if anything, my stress level is pretty low right now, and so I guess normal range is normal, but I wouldn't have been super surprised to see that stress level even come down a little bit and, be on like the lower end of normal or even like low. I don't really know if that's actually a good thing, but considering it's within the normal range, it is what it is. DHAA, I don't really know very much about that. And again, that was within the normal range, so I didn't really look into, having that be increase or decrease or whatever, because it was within the normal range. Now the estradiol and the free testosterone, again, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but those were both above the reference range. And so this was kind of what I was expecting. So when people are, doing like HRT or something like that, and they have high testosterone, a lot of times when they have, negative side effects associated with high estrogen, they're going up in tandem, right? Your testosterone is going up, as is your estrogen, and then people will take like, I can't remember, aromatase inhibitors and stuff like that to potentially bring that down. So again, I don't know enough about that, but what I do know is that oftentimes you're getting both of those numbers to go up in tandem. And so I figured if I had abnormally high testosterone or abnormally high free testosterone, which I think is the more important metric, to have higher estradiol might make sense. Now, maybe I'm totally wrong in that, in me analyzing that, but for me, I was kind of expecting both of those numbers to be higher, because for me, it's maybe not as high. I feel like maybe in the summer when I was having like a super good diet and I was firing on all cylinders and I was lean and everything like that, maybe my testosterone was even higher back then. But as of right now, I would say my testosterone is higher than it's been at any point prior to this year. And so I think a lot of that is due to, potentially better nutrition, having a lower body fat percentage. And then also I've kind of learned which supplements work for me in terms of optimizing testosterone. So as far as that goes, it's not anything different than I've been doing in recent years. It's just that I am in the best environment from a nutrition and leanness perspective. So in terms of what I actually take for optimize hormones, it's largely just, I do a couple different things, but it's largely just Sigma from Gorilla Mind. So that's really kind of this all-in-one comprehensive, testosterone supplement. And I felt like I noticed a difference when I was taking that when I was at a higher body fat percentage, when my nutrition was not really all that good. But when I'm at a lower body fat percentage and my nutrition is good, I notice that difference, substantially more when I am and am not on it. And I don't know if it's actually increasing like the magnitude of my testosterone or my free testosterone to a greater degree, or if it's just that maybe I'm going from like high normal or normal to like outside the reference range in terms of those numbers. And so for me, that makes me feel really good. And so for me, over the past several months, I've felt extremely good. I feel like my hormones have been in a very good spot. And the funny thing is, I feel like my nutrition now is actually a lot worse than it was like in the summer, when I feel like I was really kind of peak testosterone, peak health, everything like that. And so I would eventually like to get back to that. But unfortunately, I'm in a period in my life where I'm just not eating as healthy as I probably should be. But I hope to get back on track with that. So again, the estradiol, not 100% sure if that's really normal. And the only thing I could really look at was like, oh, estradiol goes up with age, and, kind of the same way that like testosterone comes down. And considering my free testosterone was outside the reference range, I felt like if these numbers were going up in tandem, that wasn't really an issue. And also given, if you have a higher body fat percentage, you could potentially aromatize more and have a higher estradiol number. Now, given my body fat percentage is not particularly high right now, it's definitely not high relative to what it used to be. I may have had a lower estradiol number several months ago and I was slightly leaner, but I don't think it's that big of a deal, and it's not something that I feel like is affecting anything in my life. Like I said, I feel really good right now, and this is part of the reason why I did want to get a test. And so for me, having a high estradiol, having a high free testosterone, again, both of those numbers being outside the reference range, I feel like that's maybe something that I was expecting, and unless I'm interpreting this in an incorrect way, I feel like that's probably a good sign. And so I just think, the higher estradiol maybe comes with the territory in terms of having a higher hormonal profile. And again, I am taking Sigma on and off. I do cycle off it the way that I always have. I've been cycling on and off that product since it came out, and I really like it. And so that's something I plan to continue taking. And I do really notice when I am on that, it's not, night and day. I don't feel like it's me going from low test to normal test, or even, potentially normal test to high test. I feel like it's just a slight boost, but I do notice it. And I do feel like that is contributing to having, that higher energy, mood elevation and stuff like that. So I feel like, obviously I take a decent amount of supplements, and I think they all have a contributing factor in that regard. But I feel like overall, the thing that I've noticed is just being leaner, I feel a lot better, and then having better nutrition. I feel like those are going to be your main pillars. Sleep is obviously one. I don't feel like I'm ever in a period where I'm getting consistently bad sleep for any extended period of time. So for me, I would always recommend the basics, get your nutrition dialed in and get your body fat percentage in check. Those are probably going to do the most when it comes to your hormonal profile, your testosterone, and then something like Sigma can be added on top. If you don't want to buy Sigma specifically, I feel like the heaviest hitters in that product are the Fedosia agressus and the Tongkat Ali. The only thing is that I think there are potentially issues with dosing and quality and stuff like that with Fedosia agressus. So I would say maybe look out for that if you're going to go and buy that individually. But I do feel like, based on what I've heard from people, the Fedosia agressus and the Tongkat Ali are the heavy hitters, and then things like boron, things like zinc and stuff like that can be added in as well. But I just like to do more of a all-in-one, but to each their own. So just kind of wanted to go over that. I thought it was slightly interesting and just kind of confirms, at least according to that one data point, like, hey, my testosterone is higher, and that's kind of interesting. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that. I will keep you updated, and I'll talk to you soon.